Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into my video podcast today. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. You know how I like to always get my video podcast started, always with a moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. So if you would, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, well, let's get started. So, how's it going, everybody? Man, it's going great. Today has been a really good and blessed day. I am excited to share with you guys some more knowledge on some things that I've been doing in my world of recovery and positivity, and I just recently finished reading 2 books that were really great and informative, and I picked up a few more that I'm indulging in, and one of them is it's a book on 12-step sponsorship, and living through different types of neurological problems. Personally, myself, I've throughout my life I've dealt with living with sadness, living with depression, living with anger, living with childhood traumatic experiences, living with PTSDs, and living with drug addiction, and with all of those types of neurological brain disorders, I have been involved in 12-step recovery programs. And, dating back to, I guess my very first introduction to the program was in 1987 or 88, one of those 2 years. But it was... I was introduced to the program because I had gotten into some trouble because I had been drinking. I was consuming alcohol, and because of the consumption of alcohol, that led me to get in. I had these legal issues because of that, and at a young age, and being in the military at that particular time. I was forced to, go to forced to go through the military court, and because of my actions, and I wound up, needless to say, I wound up having to do time when I first got into the military, and, doing that, I had to go to, I did about probably... it was a little bit time that I had to do in a correctional facility, and that really was a bummer. You know what I mean? For being my first duty station in the military, I had to go to a correctional facility, and but that in turn was the beginning of my 12-step introduction, if you would, into my life, and it was kind of a weird deal because it kind of was like shoved down my neck in a sense. I had to do it because I was in the military, you know what I mean? And I was given an ultimatum when I was in the correctional facility, and they told me that either I had to get with the program and do my time there at the correctional facility, or they would in turn, if I didn't follow the rules and do whatever I had to do there, I would have to go to Kansas Leavenworth. And these were the exact words that the person who was in charge of the correctional facility told me. And he tells me this, he goes, "Look, all military bullshit aside, if you don't finish your program here, I got no choice but to send you to Kansas Leavenworth, and you can start your military career there. You signed up for 4 years, well, you'll get 4 years over there, and they still break rocks there. So what do you want to do? So needless to say, I became a 4.0 sailor after that. I went back to the Dallas Correctional Facility, did my time, went back to my duty station, and finished, my time in the military with an honorable discharge, and and which I had to do, you know what I mean? But my point is that they had the 12-step program at that place, and it was something that I had to engage in, and so I knew about the 12-step program, and I just did it at that particular time just so I can get out of there and move on with my military life, right? So, but it's weird because throughout my life, I not only did I get into more stuff later on in my life because of my drinking, but in turn there I picked up more addictions. You know what I mean? I wound up picking up a cocaine habit, and then, getting a methamphetamine habit after that, and it just it was like a snowball effect. And just like the words in every NA and AA meeting, or whatever 12-step program meeting that you go to or that you're involved in, the message is always the same. And that is, you never go back to the addiction or whatever your problem was that you're dealing with, whatever it was, you never go back to a better place. It's always worse. It's always a worse situation that you wound up in every single time. And, had I paid attention to the literature and to the people speaking at the meetings and really put the work into doing the program, you know what I mean? Because the program doesn't fail, you know what I mean? It's noted and it's stated that it doesn't fail ever if you apply the principles and do the work. And it's said that there are over 60 different 12-step programs that there are now today. They got 12-step programs for all kinds of stuff, from drug addiction to alcoholism to eating disorders to, shopping disorders to whatever it is, but there's over 60 different 12-step programs. But the thing is that they all use the same concept, and it all starts back to the concepts that were originated in the AA program, Alcoholics Anonymous program. And, it all the programs state that you need to get you a sponsor, and you need to follow the steps, and you need to be open-minded, you need to be willing, and you need to be truthful to doing the program. And when you do that, you get results, and the results are always good. You know what I mean? And, every time that I'm wound up back in trouble or back into a treatment center, or back to the rooms of AA or NA, I always added something else to my life, in a sense, in the positive way. But I would never jump in with 2 feet. You know what I mean? That was my problem. Is that I always had this thing that where I always wanted to have a little bit of the control, in a sense. You know what I mean? So I was like this manageable guy with all these neurological brain disorders. You know what I mean? And it always wound up. I always wound up tripping, man. I always wound up back into the rooms of a 12-step program, but with more baggage always, with in a situation that was worse than the last time. And this time around, in my sobriety and in my recovery and in my journey of positivity, is that I'm doing the things that I didn't do in the past runs that I had. You know what I mean? I didn't have sponsors, and I didn't, I would do these steps halfway. I would write things down, and every now and then I would express them to somebody, or I would share them in a meeting, or that worked for me in a sense. But I always I reflect back at all those times, and I always wound up back. You know what I mean? There was always a point in my life that I went back to whatever it was, and for me, it was always using. It was using drugs, and I would always go back to that, comfort zone, if you will, that thing that was etched in my mind, mentally. It was my comfort zone, so that's what it would help me deal with emotional feelings and not having to deal with that roller coaster ride of emotions, and I would just so that I wouldn't think about things or remember things and that sort of stuff. I would just go back to that, and so I wouldn't have to dig deep in here and deal with that. That's how I would deal with it. But this time around, I'm doing it a little bit different. I'm engaging in things, and it's what I call I'm engaging in things that are giving me more tools to my recovery arsenal. And for me, that's reading books like this book right here. I picked this one up today that I'm reading, and it's a book by Hamilton B, and it's a 12-step sponsorship how it works book. This is it right here, and I've been reading it, and it's got a lot of informative stuff on how to become a sponsor and what to do, and gives you tools and tips on how to become a sponsor and how to become a sponsee. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, if you're going to need a sponsor, you're the sponsee. So it kind of gives you an insight on the types of things that you're going to be looking for that you may have to be doing in your life, and things that you may have to be adding to your life, and how to work that program. You know what I mean? So it's it's a positive thing, and it's encouraging, and it's just one of the many things that I do this time around in my recovery is do a lot of reading and put into action the things that I read and the things that I pick up, and I love to share them. That's why I share them when I do a video podcast. When I learn something new, I like to share with the audience, so that maybe it can help somebody else, and that's the main goal, is to give away what has helped me along the way to get to where I'm at today in my recovery and sobriety, and maybe that in turn it will help somebody else, take that first step to get into that road to recovery also, and positivity, man. So it's a good thing. It's just one of those things that you're going to have to do. I know that in my road to recovery, it's been a roller coaster ride, and things can get stagnant where you're comfortable with how your life is going, and that happened for me. I was running good with my sobriety and my recovery and my faith, and all those things combined into one. And if you get too complacent, you can revert back to your old ways, and I know I did. That there was a part in my life where I reverted back to the habit of addiction and drug use, and it was just those types of things that were easy for me to go back to when I stopped living a life of positivity and recovery, and using my faith base, my higher power to navigate my life that way. And when I stopped doing that, that was I know that to be true, is that when I stopped doing faith-based things and recovery things, when I removed myself from those two communities, man, my life just went downhill in a hurry. And so I try to make it a point this time around to engage in the 12-step program and doing the steps again. Because just because you've done them once doesn't mean that, okay, you're cured and that's it. No, doing the 12th step is doing those steps in every aspect of your life throughout your life. Because there's always going to be new problems that are going to come up in your life, and new journeys, new decisions that you got to make. And when you put those 12-step principles in all of those aspects of your life to make those decisions, to run your life a certain way, because it's a lifestyle, what I mean? And it's a lifestyle that can be very, very successful and profitable in many ways. You know what I mean? Profitable, I mean, like, it can encourage you intellectually, encourage your relationships. Your relationships can grow. You personally can grow physically, mentally, and put you in many different situations that can just lead to a healthy and successful lifestyle, man. Because it's good to be like that. Because I know that living in the darkness and living in the addiction, man, that was really, when you're constraining yourself in those types of things, the things that you do are limitless. You know what I mean? That you're limited to things you do when you have something bounding you down. And for me, it was the addiction mainly, and I've been sober for a while now, and I'm happy about that, and I'm glad, because I'm living a different lifestyle. But doing this podcast is one of my therapeutic things that I do, because it allows me to share, and it allows me to be engaged with the program and with my faith base, and to share all those things. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, that's the goal here, is to share things that have helped me along the way to get to where I'm at, so that in turn there I can help somebody else, and spreading the message of the program, so I wanted just to kind of share with you guys today where I'm at today in my life and what I'm doing, and reading has got a big part of what I'm doing, and sharing a little bit of the program. And there's a lot of programs out there, a lot of 12-step programs, but know that they're all intertwined, and they're all connected to the very first 12-step program, and that's the Alcoholics Anonymous program. And I'm grateful for that. I am, because it has helped me move on in my life and to better it. And I know that if it could do that for me, I know that it could do that for you. So I guess that's going to be it for today. I just kind of wanted to touch base today. It's the weekend, and I just wanted to kind of get this video out there to kind of encourage somebody. Maybe you guys will, this will encourage you to go to a meeting or reach out to somebody today, help somebody out. Or maybe even go pick up a book, go to Barnes & Noble, go to your local library or whatever, you know what I mean? It's always good. But I appreciate you guys listening, and I appreciate you guys tuning in today. So at this time, I'd like for you guys to please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. All you got to do is tap that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. But know that when you do tap that subscribe button, that you'll be helping out another veteran like myself, another person that has dealt with homelessness like myself, another person dealing with PTSDs like myself, another person dealing with childhood traumatic experiences, depression, anger, and sadness, suicidal thoughts like myself. So just know that you'll be helping someone out like that when you subscribe and share my channel. I really appreciate you guys' help. And I guess until the next time, when the smoke clears, I am the Recovery Plug.